at Velma Jackson. And we are recording this for our friends Tammy Sharp at Shirley Simmons Middle School, Jatoria Kirksey and Angela Reed at Old Town Middle School, and Vicki Parks at Germantown High School. So we did get to look at some of your science with Scotland and some of your YouTube reels to get a idea of what you do. So this, tell us how you got into that. I actually have family from Baldwin County as well. I have family in Foley.
Yeah, small world. Okay, so I got into this because, as you said, I'm from in Alabama near Mobile, if you know of like bigger cities or students do. So my dad used to be a lineman for Alabama Power. So he would go out to do power restoration for storms. And so I would always get to see pictures and videos and all of that. And I just was so fascinated. And then, of course, living super close to the coast, we got all of the tropical systems and we got severe weather just like we do here in Jackson. So that all just kind of really got me interested. And then going to Mississippi State, they have the best meteorology program, hands down. It's actually a fact and statistic that 70% of all on-air meteorologists have a tie to Mississippi State. Wow. So that's 1 in 3 meteorologists that you see on air. So a great school. I graduated from there in May of 2020. I ended up doing 5 years instead of 4. The degree does take 4 years, but I added a minor in broadcast communications just to have that extra knowledge for if I was going out to report or do something other than meteorology. So I did stay an extra year, but I've been here at WJTV for about 1 year and 7 months. So that's kind of how I got into everything. But I know y'all's class time ends close to 10. So I'm going to give everyone a tour of the studio and kind of show you all what some other people do here. And then we will go back into the studio to see what I do.
Yeah, and while you're taking that, it's just interesting you said that because your job is interesting because not only do you deal with the technology side, like you said, you got to go live on television, which is a whole nother skill in itself.
Oh, yeah, because just a side note, my family came to tour the studio, and so the same thing I'm going to do with you all, I done with them, and then they got to stand in front of the green screen, kind of click through some graphic and act as if they were on air, and they were so nervous, and they weren't even live on TV, so it's harder than some people would think. So first I'm going to take you back here. This is the production room, and this is Richard. I don't know if you can see him. He's just working hard back there. But this is all the equipment that they use to punch through graphics and make sure that everything airs on TV. So a lot of computers and buttons that I know absolutely nothing about back here. So these are the folks back here that make what you see on TV happen. So that's called the production control room. And I'm going to see if I can flip this camera around. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to walk you through to our newsroom. And these are these that you go to. And so once reporters go and shoot their stories, they come back here. And these are the computers. We use Adobe Premiere, if anyone's familiar with that editing software. We use that to edit our stories. And then that's where you export it. And then it goes on air from there. So we have a few of those edit bays, and also we have a little dressing room. So okay. And then these are our assistant news director. And then this is our news director's office. He's busy and they're working. And this is the newsroom. So these are all reporters sit at these desks, and they have their assigned desk here. It's Friday. Not a lot of people are in right now. It's kind of early too. So we do have some people over here working. I'll take you to Chloe.
Good morning, everyone. Who are we speaking with? Scotland?
Yes, this is a class at, can you tell me what grade the class is again?
I have 9th and 10th graders here live at Velma Jackson High School, but we're recording this for a lot of Madison County schools, middle schools.
So this is Velma Jackson live right now. So Chloe is a morning anchor. So she and Jacob, he's actually another meteorologist, just like me. And then there's Jade. She's the other morning anchor. So This is the morning team, and
This
Chloe and
is-
Jacob, they just went live
Yep, we
for,
were at a pumpkin patch.
for our morning sip segment.
So I'm kind of looking back at the newscast, but this is where we basically do our work. This is down, and when you want to look at the scripts, you go here. So this is our 4:30 show, and so this is what we look at. And so, for example, if you click here, this is the script, and we can change things. So it's very important to come early and to read the scripts. That way, when you go in and prompter doesn't work, you kind of know what you're talking about. So it's just good to be prepared. But it's Friday. We just did a show. I like watching it back just to critique myself to see how I did. And yeah, we're just going to clip some videos and write some articles, but it's fun and we love doing it.
Yeah. And then Jacob's over here. He usually is in the studio with me, but he's hanging out in the newsroom today because he just came back from doing his morning sip segment, and they were down there. And then here's Jade. She was in studio with me. So I'm actually going to head back into the studio and show you what Jade did today and then what I did today. All right. Thank y'all. Okay, so now we're back into the studio, and this is one of our desks and our weather computers that we have our software on, and this is the main computer desk. So we're kind of going to go through what I do last, just so once I'm sitting down, I'll just be there for good. So first, I do want to show you what the anchors look at. So Chloe was kind of just telling you about the rundown. So that's what we have on these computers. So when you see the anchor sitting with a computer, this is what they're seeing in front of them. It's the scripts, just in case, if you can see in those cameras there, that's the prompter, and all those words, that's what they're reading, if you can read that. And so they just scroll through with this little foot pedal down here, and you press it like a gas pedal, and that's what scrolls through the script as they read. So if you ever hear them stumble or mess up or have to go back, they have to scroll back through a script. So that's kind of what's happening. And then this big monitor here, it's just a TV screen showing what would be on air. We're not on air right now, but this is what would be on air if we were. And then this is my station. So I do not look at words on a prompter. I look at myself because I have to know what's going on and what I'm looking and pointing at. So I have a monitor on this side of me, and then I have a monitor on this side of me. So that's how I know where exactly I'm pointing. And then I have a little clicker I will show you. And I'll flip the camera back around now. This is the clicker that I click through my graphics with. So if I just press this play button, it goes to my next graphic. And then I point, do everything I need to do, click again, it goes to my next graphic. And I put all these graphics together on our Mac system, which I am about to sit down now and show you how all of this works. And I did create a little PowerPoint just to have something. And of course, I had to put coffee as the background because working in TV news, it's a lot. The shifts are crazy sometimes, you have to deal with all different types of people, and whether it's crime or politics or happy stories, it's just a lot going on in news. And then aside from reporters, there's weather. And we all know, living in Mississippi, the weather's crazy.
Yeah,
So coffee is one thing that I make sure I have every single day that I come to work. And then just to talk a little bit about the education, for reporters, you can get any type of communication, whether it's in journalism or broadcast communications. And then for meteorology, the same degree essentially is just called different things. So it could be called atmospheric sciences. It could be called geosciences, which is my degree from Mississippi State, geosciences with a concentration in broadcast meteorology. I know it's a lot of words, but basically it's just a broadcast meteorology degree, science related. And so that's what I graduated with. Now let's move on to the shifts. So the first shift will be the weekday morning shows. So this morning, believe it or not, I may sound very happy and alert and awake. My alarm went off at 12:30 a.m. So at midnight, I got into work at 2 a.m. And this show, so any show that we have, you have to arrive 2 hours before that show starts. So I got here 2.5 hours early. just to give myself time because the morning show is 2.5 hours. So you have a lot of graphics to get through because you don't want to repeatedly show the same thing over and over. So you have to edit all of these graphics, and before you even do that, you have to forecast, which we're going to go over too. So back to the different shifts. The morning show is from 4:30 a.m. until 7 a.m. And then we have cut-ins from 7 to 9. And so essentially what cut-ins are after 7 o'clock, we go to our CBS morning show because we are CBS affiliate. And so in between, when they toss to commercial breaks, they'll say something like, okay, now we'll send you back to your local stations for a check on weather. And so we'll do just like a 1-minute little hit or something like that before it goes back to CBS this morning. So that's what cut-ins are. So I just got done with those. They ended at 9 o'clock. And then we have a noon show that'll start at 12 o'clock and it's only 30 minutes. So that show is really easy, really short. And then we move on to the weekday evening shows, and we have a lot of those. So we have a 4 to 4:30, and then we have a 4:30 to 5. A 5 to 5:30, and then there's a 30-minute break, and we go 6 to 6:30, and then there's a dinner break, and then we'll go 9 to 9:30, and then 10 to 10:30. So those are all the weekday shows, and then we have weekend shows, which I am technically the weekend morning meteorologist, and during the week I do the noon show, except on Fridays I do the morning show. So I'm kind of all over the place just a little bit, but it's all okay. I have my coffee, and that's why I have it. So here's the weekend schedule. We start at 6 a.m. So on the weekends, I don't have to get in until 4. So tomorrow morning, I can sleep a little later. My alarm clock won't go off until 2:30 a.m. So, and then we still do have the same cut-ins from 7 o'clock until 9 tomorrow on Saturday. And then for the evening shows, they start at 5 o'clock. And then we have a 5 o'clock show, 6 o'clock show, a 9, and a 10. And then some of those shows are obviously pushed back now, especially with football season. Some of, if they're playing on CBS, we won't have the news, or we'll just go on later. So now I will go into what I do with forecasting. Here are some of the websites that I use. Pivotal Weather, these are all free. You could go to them if you wanted to. The Weather Prediction Center, the National Weather Service, Storm Prediction Center, National Hurricane Center, and these are just a few. So I actually did pull them up so that we could take a look at some of them. So this is the Weather Prediction Center, and it basically tells me when we're having cold fronts come through or when we're having a high pressure, which I know that means that it's going to keep us nice. So looks like by next Tuesday into Wednesday, here's Mississippi down here, we're going to have another cold front come through. So spoiler alert, if you don't like the cooler weather, it looks like we're going to stay pretty cool because a cold front is what we had earlier this week, and that's why we're so cold now. So that's one of the websites I look at. I'm going to take you to, let's see. Here's one that we look at and we can scroll through, and it kind of just shows you like when there's going to be rain and what time. And so I look at all of these different things with the cold fronts and the high pressure or whatever it is. And that's how I come up with my forecast. So, okay, it might look a little sloppy, but hopefully you all can see this. Every day I come in, I make my own little forecast sheet, and we go from Friday to Friday. We go 8 days out. So I make my own numbers by looking at all of these different models. And then I come here, and that's how I get my actual forecast. And that will appear on the 8th day. So that's what you see. And that's how I get my numbers, by looking at all of these different maps and models and forecasting systems to know what I have to do. And so I also have just because I like to stay pretty organized, I have a to-do list, although I've been here a year and 7 months. I look at this every day and I check it off every single day to know what I have to do, because like I said, when you're coming to work at 2 a.m., you can forget things very, very easily.
Oh,
I'm half asleep when I'm on air at 4:30. So yeah, I guess let's see what else I had on my PowerPoint. I had kind of my daily duties on here. So I just forecast as soon as I come in. And then I have 2 hours to do that. And then I'll do the show. And then after the show, I'll record another weather segment as if it was live. And that's what we update the app, the website, and all of that. And then, of course, I'll just post a graphic to social media for folks who maybe didn't watch, to kind of show them what the forecast is going to be. but I feel like I've just been talking and talking and talking.
So that's interesting stuff. I don't think two things that you've gone over. I don't think kids are realizing. One is the amount of people that go into a newscaster. A lot of people off camera as well doing a lot of things, and then the amount of technology you guys have to know is unfathomable, especially on the meteorology side, because.
Oh, yeah.
Because we watch and we see all the graphics, but that has to be done and uploaded by you, and then you have to know what you're talking about from a meteorology aspect. So, and then, like I said, on top of that, you got to be able to go live on television, which I think is a lot harder than people realize. I know,
Yeah.
I know y'all. I know I've talked to other females in the news area before, and they like the clothes and the makeup and stuff, but it's tough when you're having breaking news and you gotta go live for a bunch of people to see. And I love on your audition reel where you're out in the rain getting covered up with the raincoat on. But when weather calls, you got to do it.
Yeah. And I will say about that too. I was down. So anytime there's severe weather and I'm on shift, I'm usually the one that they send out. We tell everyone else, stay at home. There's going to be severe weather, but they're like, hey, Scotland, go storm chase. That's me. I'm that girl. I storm chase. So what you saw in that footage, me out in the rain, that's me getting sent down to the Mississippi Gulf Coast to storm chase hurricanes and tropical systems that are coming onto shore. So probably what you saw was from Hurricane Sally last year, which actually hit more towards Alabama, but we did get impacts along the coast. And so I was down there in the storm, and I was just talking about it with some other coworkers, how I went live in the 4:00 show, the 5, the 6, the 9, and the 10. And then they said, we want you to be live tomorrow morning. Well, where we were was in Pascagoula, which was about an hour from where our hotel was. And so we ended I think our live hit was like at 10:20. We ended that, packed up, drove an hour. So got back to the hotel, let's just say 11:30. And then we had to be up and back at the same spot to go live by 4:30 the next morning. Wow. So limited sleep. I know people think, oh, you're just in front of a camera, you're just talking, but you're doing it on limited sleep. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to try to get interviews with people, and getting people to talk on camera is really tough. A lot of people have a lot to say, but when you put a camera in front of them, they don't want to talk anymore. And then I know you said something about how I put the graphics together. So I will show, this is what I put together this morning, how everything's moving in. And this is just me scrolling through. These little red dots right here, just pause points. So when I'm clicking through on air, it'll pause here, and then it'll pause again here. But just me scrolling through, I put all of this together because if you look, all of this can be manipulated. This can all be moved around. So I put all of this together myself, because you just add all of these little things and you have to put it where it goes and all of this, and you can drag and manipulate and make it whatever shape, however big you want. Like I do all of this in the mornings when I come in. And that's why I have to give myself the 2 hours before the show. Some things that are auto-populated are obviously current radar and then future radar. This is just a model that we use of, showers that we're going to see today, how the clouds are going to clear out tomorrow. And so I also put in my pause points for the most important thing that's happening. So if there's nothing really happening, it'll just play through that and then pause at the next important thing. So like tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up to cloud cover. So that's why it's paused here. And then it pauses again by the afternoon, showing that, hey, some of the clouds are starting to move out. We'll start to see some sunshine. So that's just how things go. We have a lot of things other than just standing around the camera and talking. Yeah. I personally, so Chloe was kind of telling you about the rundown and how she has to come in early and read over scripts. So those scripts are likely from a reporter the night before who did a story and typed out and wrote their story and reported on it. But she's reading over the next morning of what happened the night before. Yeah. For me, I come in, I do everything myself. No one helps me out with anything. I forecast. These are my numbers. These are, my graphics that I put together. So for meteorologists, you're kind of one-man band. You do everything by yourself. So, I love it though. It's actually
on those remote shots, you guys are controlling the editing from the truck as well, too. That has to get broadcast back to the station and then broadcast over television.
Yeah, and we have a little time, so I can I'm going to see if I can go find a storm chase key and show you one of the chasers. But I know you said folks had questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I obviously want to talk about while we're walking out there, and you told me yourself that you are the first Black female meteorologist WJTV's ever had, and I know you guys have Byron Brown and Kayla Thompson. So there is representation in the news field. But I can remember growing up in Jackson, the only other Black female meteorologist I can ever remember is Brittany Bell. And I know she's going on to New York now, but how important is it to have representation in this area of news, not just the anchors and the sports and other things?
Well, I don't know if you realize how I'm not from Mississippi here, and I came here directly from school, which was at Mississippi State. So just 2 hours north in Starkville. But I really didn't know much about any of the stations here. And so when I came here, I was kind of asking around, and WJTV is the oldest station in Jackson. And so it's the oldest station. It's 2021. I started here in 2020, and I turned out to be the first Black meteorologist. So it was kind of crazy. For male or female in this industry for meteorologists, and there really needs to be, because it's a great field, and you obviously work hard like you would in any other job, but if you love science, you love math, because to get the degree you do have to go through some math classes and obviously upper level science courses too. But once you get through that, I'll be honest, I haven't used the math at all since I've been in the industry, but you have to get through it to get the degree, to know, just in case you don't have the computers and you don't have the models. I do know how to forecast outside of what the computer is telling me. So while I'm out here, it's pretty cold out here. I didn't bring my jacket. I'm the meteorologist without the jacket. Okay, so this is our storm chase. So let me close the door really quickly. So we have two of them. One is called Thunder and one is Lightning. So this is Thunder, and this is the front of it. So basically it has all of this stuff on top. We can get wind speeds, we can get all of this stuff, and it'll appear here.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so I'll show you inside here. We only have 3 seats, the driver, passenger, and then this back seat, because all of this equipment is turned on, and that's how we broadcast live from this storm chaser to this back to the station. So while I'm storm chasing, I'm in this vehicle, and while we're driving down the road, I can be live because there's a camera here pointing at me, because I'll usually have, well, always I will have a driver, and I'll be in the passenger seat, and then this camera is pointing outside to show what we are driving into and what we're seeing. And again, this is pointing back to me, and there's a microphone in here. And then there's also this little clicker, and that just lets me know if it's the camera's facing me or if it's facing the road.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that. And then I'll show you the older truck. I don't have the key to that one, but the older truck, this is what they used to use, this van. That's the old one. So we got to upgrade it just a little bit. That's van number 1. It's called the Viper. And then here's Lightning. Lightning is a little bit bigger than Thunder. I'm not too good at vehicles, but they're both Chevys. Let's just say that. So there's Thunder and Lightning. And then we have news vehicles. Some of them have WJTV on them, and they're numbered. And then some of our newer ones, they're not wrapped, is what you call it. This is the wrap. Some of them don't have it, but they still have numbers on them. And yeah, and this is just me.
All right, hold on. Lost her here for a second.
This is Haley.
Lost her there for a second. We got you back now.
Yeah, she's our sports anchor. Let's see, sports director. He's another meteorologist, John Conway. And then there's me. There's Jacob, you met him. There's Kayla, you just mentioned her. Here's Jade. We met Jade in there. She also is an investigative reporter, in addition to being an anchor. There's Chloe. Walt Grayson.
Yep.
He's
Walt's been there a long time.
so y'all have probably heard of him. And then here is Ken South. He's our chief meteorologist. There's Byron Brown. You mentioned him. He works in the evenings alongside Melanie
Yep,
Christopher.
he's also been there a long time.
Yep. So they are the first ones you see when you walk in from the lobby. But
Yeah.
I've opened taking questions if we're ready for
Yeah, and I
those.
do have some from the students. And you talked a little bit about this, but this is Trevion Blackman. He's a ninth grader, and and you did say you can forecast on your own, but he said, what type of sources do you use to prepare your forecast?
Yeah, so kind of some of those websites I was talking about, the Weather Prediction Center, the National Weather Service. So all of the people putting the information on those websites are other meteorologists. So we have a National Weather Service chat where when we're in severe weather, that's where we all log into there, and they are the ones who issue tornado warnings. So all of the broadcast meteorologists are logged on. So we know a little bit ahead of time, like, okay, they're about to issue a tornado warning here. Like we can watch for that and see a rotation on radar and think, okay, they're probably about to issue a warning, but we can't say anything, or we can't identify it as a tornado warning until the National Weather Service does so.
Okay.
So there's meteorologists at the National Weather Service, and we're just the broadcast side of the meteorologist.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is Jay Ashton Williams. He's also a ninth grader, and he asked, do you ever get nervous being on live television knowing thousands of people are watching? Did you get that?
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. This is Jay Ashton Williams. He's
No, can you say it one more time?
Okay. And he asked, do you ever get nervous knowing you're on live television with thousands of people watching?
Knowing that people are watching. I messed up so bad, and everyone's like, oh no, you did fine, and I'm like, no, there are real people at home watching this. But you kind of just have to keep going with the flow because it's live TV, once you mess up, I mean, people are human, we're gonna mess up. People have been doing this for years, still mess up. And so it's kind of like once you do have an error or whatever, say the wrong thing, you kind of just fix it and have to move on because you're still live. It's not like you can say, hold on, let's restart. So you just kind of have to keep going with the flow because most viewers, there's a few, that really get into it and want to critique and criticize a lot, but most understand that you're human. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. So it's all fine.
Oh yeah. And this is Kamiria Smith, and she's a ninth grader, and she asked, what do you enjoy most about your job?
Oh, what do I enjoy most? Things like this. Getting people to know about the career, getting to, just meet new people. Like I was able to do something else with another school in Jackson. I just love the community aspect of getting to keep people safe in severe weather. Like, yes, it's scary. A lot of people have severe weather anxiety, and we have a lot of that in Mississippi. So being able to be responsible essentially for people's lives, and making sure people are safe, that's definitely the best part. If I had to say a word, it'd be the hours.
Oh, absolutely. Now, the one thing, because this is a technology-based class, what I wanted to ask about also is how much is the technology changing every day? Like how up to date do you have to stay with that?
Yeah, so we actually got new software. We get new upgrades for our software, which we use the Max system. And they upgrade our, I guess, like to Windows 10 and stuff like that. We have an engineering department. So there are a lot of people here that you didn't even see. We have a sales department, a creative services department. Those are the people who put together the promotions or the commercials from WJTV that you see. So yeah, our IT department, they really kind of make sure everything is good on our end. If we ever have anything mess up with the Mac system, we can call into them, but we stay anytime there's an update, our IT is on it. They'll stay late at night because you have to kind of wait till newscasts are over, especially if it's some kind of update or upgrade that's going to take hours. We really don't have that time during the day to update things. So our last show ends at 10:30. So at 10:30 is usually when upgrades and the updates are getting done.
So it is very important to know for anybody watching now and later, there are great jobs in television that are not in front of the camera. So you guys have people always dealing with the software. You have people dealing with the equipment, all the technology side. That doesn't mean they're in front of the camera going live, but there are really great jobs that people can stay there a long time.
Absolutely. And I can go through some of those. So we have the meteorologists on air, the reporters on air, and anchors on air. But then behind the scenes in the production control room, we have those are called directors, where we saw Richard back there. We also in the newsroom have producers. They're the ones who get the stories that reporters do, and they put it in the order that they want to, because every show is done by a different person. Wow. So we have a 4 o'clock producer, 5 o'clock, a 6, and then a 9 and 10. So every show is done differently. Yes, it may have some of the same stories, but they're in different orders to make it their own. So yes, you can be a producer, a director if you like more of the technology side. There's our IT department. If you're into more graphic design, we have our creative services department. Those are the ones who put together cool graphics or commercials and promotions and all of that. And then we also have our sales department. They're the ones who make money for the station. So if you love to talk, you love to sell things, that's a job even here. So yes, we have
a digital media program in Madison County Schools, as well as animation and simulation, which both of those really fall into the television side. So that could be a career opportunity coming even out of high school.
Yeah.
Programs. Now we're almost out of time, and I thank you so much for joining us. But I ask every speaker the same question. Like everybody else here now, and like most of the people that'll be watching later, you grew up Black in the South, and you're not much older than a lot of the kids that are watching now and later. So even if they never want to be on television,
right.
Even if they never want to be on television, what can they do to be as successful as you've become, facing those same obstacles that you've already faced?
I will say, despite the oppression or whatever that we experience as African Americans, I will say your education is something that no one can ever take away from you. That is one thing that you will always have once you get it. School may also not be for everyone, whether you want to go to technical school and get a trade job or whatever it may be. But whatever trade you learn or whatever education you have, no one can ever take that away from you. So you want to be successful. You want to stay on top of everything. In class, even in high school, ask questions, try high school. Yeah. Sometimes you may not want to go, but get through it. And then because you never know what you're going to need or what you're learning in school. That definitely, if you don't know what you want to do in college yet, or what you want to do in your life, or what you're going to major in, you definitely want to pay attention in high school, because I didn't know exactly that I wanted to be a meteorologist, but I paid attention in my math classes, and I'm glad that I did, because I had to take up to Cal Free. It's a lot of things that you may not even think about that you may need in the future. Communication too, being able to just talk and communicate with people, that is very, very, especially for our race, whoever it is, whether you're coming into contact with law enforcement or, whoever, you want to know how to communicate and things like that. But like I said, education is my number one thing that I think, and I've always heard that growing up. No one can ever take it away.
That's awesome. And our bell's about to ring, so you timed it perfect. But that was some good stuff. Hopefully,
right.
COVID restrictions lifted, we can come out there to the studio sometime. That'd be great.
Let me know. Keep in touch.
All right, my friend. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah.